There are, as I've said before, essentially two kinds of sandwiches. One type of sandwich is filling focused, a specific ingredient or combination of ingredients enclosed in bread. A BLT, for example, or pulled pork or chicken salad. You can argue over which is the correct bread for such a sandwich, but a tuna melt is a tuna melt, whether it's served on rye or wheat or white bread or even a hamburger bun. The second type is bread focused, and often named after the exact kind of bread the sandwich is served in. A hero, a hoagie, the Maltese fatira, or the beef on weck of Buffalo. There may still be a particular ingredient or set of ingredients required for the sandwich to be correct, but without that specific bread, it is not that specific sandwich. A great sandwich starts, after all, not with great bread, but with the right bread, adorned with quality ingredients. A puccia is a type of bread roll, native to the southeastern Italian region Apulia, more specifically to the Salento Peninsula, the heel to Italy's boot. The etymology of the word puccia links it to the Latin buccellatum, the hardtack biscuits carried by soldiers of ancient Rome. But puccia is not a dry, crumbly rusk like hardtack. Instead, this contemporary bread was developed in the 1970s by a man named Giovanni Cacchetti at a bar he opened in Trepuzzi called King. These bread rolls are created by flattening a ball of semolina-based dough and baking it in a very hot wood-fired pizza oven for just a few minutes, resulting in a crisp-crusted, often leopard-spotted roll, round and puffed out, but nearly hollow inside from rapid expansion during the hot and quick bake. There's no set recipe for a puccia sandwich. It is instead this bread acting as a canvas for any number of Italian-style sandwich fillings. Grilled zucchini, or the stuffed pork rolls called bombette, or sausages with broccoli rabe. Or instead, it can simply be Italian meats and cheeses, perhaps with some vegetables, perhaps not. I found this menu from a bakery and restaurant in Apulia, and I picked a few of these sandwiches to recreate. Like the Caprese sandwich, fresh mozzarella, Campari tomatoes that tend to be pretty good even in midwinter, and sweet basil, topped with a handful of arugula and a drizzle of balsamic vinegar. Nobody will be surprised to learn that this was a terrific combination, with the bitter, peppery flavor of the arugula rounding out the sweetness of the basil, the creaminess of the mozzarella, the juicy savor of the tomatoes, and the deep tartness of the balsamic vinegar. Or Speck, a dry-cured ham like prosciutto that's also smoked so it's stronger in flavor, with fresh mozzarella and scamorza, a stretchy cheese much like the typical low-moisture mozzarella we get in U.S. grocery stores. The ham carries the sandwich, seasoning the mild, milky cheeses with its salty, smoky, porky funk. Or Speck again, but complicated slightly. Stracchino cheese, topped with cherry tomatoes, seasoned with salt and oregano, with a layer of that salty, smoky speck. It occupies a space somewhere between a BLT and a Caprese, without really being similar to either. It's missing that crisp texture and mayonnaise tang of the BLT, and the sweet basil flavor of the Caprese. But the Speck hits most of those bacon notes, salty, smoky, porky, and is as good a foil for the sweet, juicy tomatoes as bacon would be, while the peppery oregano may actually be a better seasoning for them than the basil. Mortadella and mild provolone is a natural, whether served hot and melty like the mortadella sandwiches of São Paulo, so famously loved by Anthony Bourdain, or more simply like this, sliced thin and piled high, the subtle pistachio and pepper flavors of the mortadella allowed to shine, if ever so gently. But this was my favorite sandwich of the bunch. I'm a sucker for capicola, especially in its milder, sweeter forms. Apulian capicola is, I understand, a delicate salume, marinated in wine and smoked gently over oak wood and almond husks. It sounds delightful, but even this more attainable domestic capicola is a delicious piece of cured pork, made from a neck muscle of the pig that is called coppa in Italian. Here, this fragrant pork is combined with a soft, milky stracchino cheese, along with sun-dried tomatoes, chewy, intensely sweet, sour, and savory all at once. and a handful of peppery bitter arugula. It's an almost perfect combination of flavors, and while my American desire for excess wants to gild the lily by adding, say, oil and vinegar or maybe giardiniera, it is not necessary.